All right. Happy Wednesday. Greetings to the 12 tribes of the children of Jacob, whose name was changed by the Most High himself to Yashar Al, how we now say it is, Israel. Greetings. Greetings also to those that are not of the bloodline of Israel, but who are grafted in by the line of the tribe of Judah through faith in his name to the Father Yahweh. Greetings. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, trying to save lives. Blessings also upon those that pick up garbage for us to keep our places clean. Blessings upon those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on those that are trying to deliver boys and girls, babies, toddlers, men and women, teenagers, and adults from human trafficking, sex slavery, prostitution, child prostitution, pedophilia, child molestation, pornography, and child pornography. Blessings are those trying to deliver these innocent ones, trying to help, trying to save, trying to rescue from the clutches of these evil things, and curses upon those that promote these things. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. 600,000 men, women, and children, and families, and veterans on the streets tonight don't have a place to stay. Millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom, and blessings on those that are trying their best to help. Greetings also to the chat. Yakoba, Brother Kelly, Sister Wade, Brother Righteous, greetings to all of y'all in the chat. So, today's subject, absolute truth. What is absolute truth? Does absolute truth exist? And if it does, where is it? Now, we'll be using the King James Bible for this study, which in and of itself tells you a little bit about what I think absolute truth is, because I am saying it must be found in this book. And what convicted me that it was found in this book? I happen to have read it. And having read it, I was convicted that this book contains absolute truth. Well, what is it? What does the book say about it? And then before we even get into that, let me say this. There are people that have not read anything but the Quran. And to those people, the Quran is absolute truth. And again, when I say having read it, I mean from cover to cover. Now, I have not read the Quran from cover to cover. I can't tell you chapter and verse of the Quran. But I can tell you that this book speaks of no Quran. And by virtue of it eliminating that as a possibility, it doesn't matter for me to read it, doesn't matter. Because this book is telling me that there's only one God and one word, and this is it. And one people. So, but for those people that are followers of the Quran, they don't know any better. That's what they believe. That's their truth. That's it. I can't judge them. Nobody could judge them if that's all they know. That's something the Most High's got to deal with. But I will say this. If there is an absolute truth, that means there's an absolute lie. And by understanding absolute truth and absolute lie, I think it will help us navigate through the minefield that is these last days of the information age and these last days of Babylon. Because one thing this book teaches me is that there's confusion on the earth in the last days. And I think we could see that. So let's look at it. What does the Bible say is truth? Well, there's a lot. It has a lot to say about that. But let's look first. Let's look at a couple of places. Let's look at Psalms, the 25th Psalm, the 25th division of the Psalm. Matter of fact, Psalms itself has a lot to say about this. So we're going to look at a couple of Psalms. Let's start with the 25th division of the Psalm. Psalms 25. Psalms 25. Matter of fact, just to let y'all know, in my annual study of the Bible, I am now in the Psalms. I'm in Psalms and Romans, just to let you know. And I hope you all are studying your Bibles. Those of you that had committed to do it back in April or even earlier, some of you, keep studying your word. So I started in Genesis and I started the New Testament in Matthew, and I'm moving through. So now I'm in Romans and I'm in Psalms. I don't know where you are, but I hope you are being blessed by your study of the word of the Most High. But here in Psalm 25, I'm going to begin at verse 1. We're going to find places where it talks about truth. Okay? Where it talks about truth. Let's consider this. Psalms 25. Unto thee, O Yahweh, do I lift up my soul. O my Most High, I trust in thee. Let me not be ashamed. Let not mine enemies triumph over me. Yea, let none that wait on thee be ashamed. Let them be ashamed which transgress without cause. Show me thy ways, O Yahweh. Teach me thy paths. Lead me in thy truth. Teach me, for thou art the Most High of my salvation. On thee do I wait all the day long. Well, we see truth right here. It says, lead me in thy truth. So by saying thy truth, it says that the Most High has a truth, which implies that other people might have something that they call truth. And the psalmist is saying to the Most High, lead me in yours. Lead me in your truth. Okay? So he's saying he has a truth. He said, lead me in yours, Most High. The author here of the Psalms is saying that there's a Most High. He's talking about him. And he says, lead me in your truth. Now, somebody that may be a Buddhist may have never read this and may not understand this. We're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages in these last days in a minute. But I want you to see how, you can't always judge everybody based on what they believe because of where they're from, what part of the world they're from, what their culture is, how they've been raised, right? So the psalmist is saying to the Most High, lead me in your truth, okay? So I'm waiting on you all day long. I'm only looking for your truth. Now, before we continue, let's remind each other about what this Bible says about people like the psalmist. David was an Israelite, according to this book. He come out the tribe of Judah, the 12 tribes, according to this book. The 12 tribes were chosen as children of a man that was Jacob, according to this book. Jacob's name was changed to Israel, and his 12 sons became what we know now as the children of Israel, what the Bible calls the chosen people, the apple of the creator of this book's eyes. He said he only showed himself to those people. They're the only people as a nation that heard them speak, that heard him speaking to them. They're the only people that he taught his statutes, judgments, and commandments to from this book. So that's who David is saying, show me thy truth. Okay? Psalm 25, verse 6. Remember, O Yahweh, thy tender mercies and thy loving kindnesses, for they have been ever of old. Remember not the sins of my youth, nor my transgressions, according to thy mercy. Remember thou me for thy goodness' sake, O Yahweh. Good and upright is Yahweh. Therefore he will teach sinners in the way. The meek will he guide in judgment. The meek will he teach his way. All the paths, watch this one. All the paths of Yahweh are mercy and truth unto such as keep his covenant and his testimony. So now the psalmist is saying everything about this God that we serve is truth. And it's truth to such as keep his covenant and his testimonies. His testimonies are his witness. And so it's telling us, if you're going to follow this book, there's only but one God for you to follow. Now, again, if you're a Muslim, that's different. This ain't the God of the Muslims. And I'm telling you, if you're in Islam, if you're a follower of Islam, and that's what you understand, okay, that's you. But for those of us that are following this book, it's telling us this is the way of truth. All the ways of our God are truth. And it's truth to such as obey his covenant. The covenant is commonly referred to as the 10 Commandments. And in this book, it teaches us he only gave that covenant to one people. I am the Lord thy God, he told that people, that brought thee out of the land of Egypt and out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. That's the first principle of the covenant. And he only gave that to one people. He didn't give that to everybody. See, he definitely didn't give it to the Arabs. He didn't give it to the Polish people. He didn't give it to the Russian people. He gave it to this children of bloodline children of Jacob. So the only people he gave it. And he said, this is truth, he said. Well, this is truth. This is the way of the creator that you serve. It's truth. Okay. So now we're talking about absolute truth. There's some philosophers that said the only truth there is that there's no such thing as absolute truth. Well, if you're believing this book, then that would be a lie. It would be a lie. Now, for those of us that follow this book, the thing for me, let me just speak for myself. The thing that differentiates this book from anything that could be out there is not just the principles of the book in terms of truth and error, in terms of right and wrong, although obviously it talks about that. No, the thing that differentiates this book is its ability to tell you the future. To me, that's what differentiates it. The prophetic utterance. The ability to tell you where you are now, where you were, and what's in front of you. 100% of the time. So that everything that we're seeing now, everything the book talks about, the domination of the world powers of the children of the effect, the book brings that out. The book tells you the domination of Christianity. It tells you that. It shows you the European domination of religion, government, and politics. I mean, in business. It tells you all of that. It tells you exactly where we are right now. It tells you about the rise of a country that will come after Rome and exercise all the power of Rome on a worldwide basis. That means it dominates religion, it dominates politics, it dominates business on a worldwide scale. It tells you about this country that says it looks like a lamb, but speaks like a dragon. And it's a young country, younger than other countries that is dominating. This is what makes this book special. It tells you these things. It tells you who the true people of this book are by their bloodline, by what happens to them. It predicted all of that, of what happened to them, where they go, why are they not in their original place. It tells you why. It tells you all. So for me, this book, because of its prophetic powers, is the book. I have not heard of any Muslim talk about prophecy. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I just haven't. I've heard of Christian churches talk about prophecy, and I've seen all of their prophecies fail. 100% of them. fail. And this book tells me why they fail. Because it said there's only one chosen people. And it shows you what happened to them. It tells you what they look like. It showed you why they went into troubles and what the troubles was. It talked about the slavery. It talked about the one of all things. It talked about the diseases coming on them. It talked about them being in chains. It talked about them being in jail. It talked about them being spread all over the earth by oppression and slavery. Talked about all of that way before it happened. And we're seeing it. It talked about their awakening and their rising back and being gathered together. That's the next thing. The awakening is now happening right in front of us. So now, if there is an absolute truth, and this book has it, if you're going to believe these things, see, either you're in or you're not. Because the book itself says, Deuteronomy, see, you got to go by the book. The book itself says in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 1 and 2. Wait, no, that's not the one I want. I could go there, but I don't want to go there. I think I want. Yeah, I guess I will take chapter 6. Let me just make sure. Hold on. I think I might want another one. Hold on. I really want something else. I want chapter 4. That's what I want. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 1 and 2. That's what I want. Deuteronomy chapter 4. That's what I want. Now, therefore, hearken, O Israel. Again, he's talking to that group that he calls his chosen people, Jacob's children. Hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that you may live and go in and possess the land which Yahweh your Most High of your fathers giveth you. You shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish aught from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yahweh your Most High which I command you. There's a witness right there. Don't add or take away from this word that he gives us. Don't try to change it. Wait a minute. Revelation chapter 22, second witness, at the end of the book. Revelation 22, verse 18 and 19. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book. If any man shall add unto these things, Yah shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. If any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, Yah shall take away his part out of the book of life and out of the holy city and from the things that are written in this book. Two witnesses. Don't mess with this book. Don't try to change or add to it. Don't try to take something out of it. Don't mess with it. Okay? What else? Don't guess about what you think it means. Don't put man-made things. Matter of fact, this book tells us about man-made things. As a matter of fact, let's look at a passage of scripture. Talk about being confused. That people misappropriate, misalign, and totally chop up and change the meaning and confuse people. That would be Colossians chapter 2. Colossians chapter 2. And this is, again, why so many people either trust only in Paul's writings and don't read the rest of the Bible, claiming to believe in the Bible, but never reading the rest of the Bible, or completely write off Paul as somebody that's not inspired, having not read the whole New Testament and comparing it with the Old Testament. Stuff like this. Because of the influence. Now, we cannot deny the influence. Now, listen, gotta be real, right? This world is dominated by the United States of America. It's dominated on a global basis. It's dominated in military terms, economic terms, religious terms, political terms by the United States of America. The headquarters of the United Nations is in New York. No coincidence. Okay? Let's go a little further before we go to Colossians. The United States of America has a culture, does it not? It has a culture. That culture was begun and developed from Europe. It's an originally Eurocentric culture. Am I saying something that's wrong? Or is that true? So the world is dominated by the United States. The United States was created and built on a European centralized culture. Therefore, the world is dominated by a Eurocentric culture. So we're influenced by our Eurocentric culture, which includes Eurocentric Christianity. All of us are. For good or for bad. Is what it is. So when Christianity tells you this is what it is, people start to believe that. That's the power and force of having a dominant culture on the planet. And in Colossians chapter 2, verse 16, generally that's where people start. Verse 16, 17, that's what they read. Let's read it. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of a holy day or of the new moon or of the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the bodies of Christ. Now, tell me if you heard that before. How about verse 14? Blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to his cross. Have you heard that before? You who believe in obedience to the commandments, have any Christians ever told you this verse before? It said that he nailed that to the cross. He nailed the commandments to the cross. You see, he said, let no man judge you. He nailed the commandments to the cross. Is that what he was talking about? Remember now, this is an epistle. An epistle is a common term is letter. It's a letter, right? It's a letter. So if it's a letter, then you can't just really read one sentence of the letter and understand it. And let's say for the sake of argument that Colossians, which is 4 chapters long, is chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's say for the sake of argument, that's 4 pages of a letter. You think you can read 2 lines of a 4-page letter and think you understand what that letter is saying? Would you write 4 pages of a letter to somebody that was very important to you, and the letter information is very important, and they said, I read 2 lines in chapter 2. I think that's enough. I think I understand it now. Would you be happy with that? So one thing I want to tell you, if you're going to believe the Bible, always listen carefully. If there's something you don't understand, first of all, before we read the scriptures, always pray. Because if it's from the Most High, that means his spirit is on it. And you want to ask his spirit to guide you, correct? So always ask for prayer. And have your mind open, because you're being learned from the ultimate teacher. Father has appointed Messiah, through whom he gives us his spirit to teach us. He's the ultimate teacher. So you want to humble yourself, keep your mind open. Don't think you know what I mean? So well, after you do that, though, always try to read in context. What does that mean? That means we're looking at Colossians chapter 2 from 14. We read from 14 basically down to 16 or 17, I think. Well, yeah. So you want to read before that and after that to get an idea what it is really saying. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, don't ever believe that the Old Testament and the New Testament speak in opposite terms. You've just been deluding yourself right there. Because if you believe that, why are you wasting time with a book that contradicts itself? And if you don't believe it contradicts itself, then that means there must be agreement between the 2 things now. Now, we saw just now, we read in Deuteronomy chapter 4 that the Most High says to his people, I want you to keep my statutes and judgments and commandments. So would he say that in order to tell his son, nail him to the cross? That doesn't make logical sense, does it? So let's read this in a proper context. All right, let's go back before chapter 2, verse 14, and let's read it in the context. Okay, I'm going to start. Let's see. I'm going to start at verse 6. That's a nice place to start. I'm going to start at verse 6, and I'll read all the way to verse 13, right before we get to the minefield there, right? So let's look at the context of what the apostle is writing. Colossians chapter 2, verse 6. As ye have therefore received, I'm going to read it just like it says. No, I can't do it. As ye have therefore received Messiah, Yahushua the Master, so walk ye in him. Rooted and built up in him, and established in the faith as ye have been taught, abounding therein with thanksgiving. So he said, you receive Messiah by faith. You should be rooted and built up in Messiah as you have been taught in the faith. Now, of course, when you read the New Testament and you look up the faith, you'll see his Father's perfect righteousness. The faith of the Messiah is the perfect righteousness of the Father, Father's righteousness. That's Romans chapter 3. That's Philippians chapter 3. Okay, Romans chapter 6. That's also Galatians chapter 2, verse 20. Okay, just tell it. All right, from 16 to 20, chapter 2. Okay, so anyway, verse 8. Watch carefully. Okay, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Messiah. So he says here, be careful, beware, lest somebody spoil you. Spoil means rob you through philosophy. Telling you this book is not philosophy. So if somebody treating it like philosophy, they're already disrespecting it. Now there's philosophies, fine, but that's of the nations. That's not of Yah. Through philosophy and vain deceit. And notice, after the traditions of men, man's traditions, not Yah, man's traditions, after the rudiments of the world, of this world. Messiah said, if my kingdom was of this world, my servants would fight, but my kingdom's not from here. The world is pride. The world is uplifted itself. There's no humility, no repentance in the world. That's what makes up the world, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Messiah. For in him, that is in Messiah, dwelleth all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. Now people look at Godhead and boom, Trinity. There's no Trinity. See what happens? There's no Trinity. Every epistle this man writes, he says, grace and peace unto you from Yah our Father and the Master Jesus Christ. He never says Father, Son, and the Spirit. He never says that. Every epistle, he speaks of only two, Father and Son. Somebody said, well, why did Messiah say get baptized in the Spirit? Whose Spirit is it? He called it the Spirit of his Father. He called it in Gospel of John, Spirit of his Father. So the Spirit is not some esoteric entity that just floats out in the air and does its own thing. It's Father Yah sending his Spirit of his character to a human agent through the Messiah. Okay, so it's Father. So it said like this: I baptize you in the name of the Father Yahweh and of the Son Messiah in the Father's Spirit. Does that make sense? So Godhead, that means Father's Spirit, Messiah himself is in Messiah. That makes sense? As Father's appointed agent, Father's Spirit is in Messiah, and Messiah is who he is. He's the Messiah. Okay? And Messiah said, John 17, me and my Father are one. And he said, Father, I want all of those that are ours to be one with us. Okay, let's continue. Verse 10, and ye are complete in him, which is the head of all principality and power. What does that mean? Messiah represents you and me before the Father. And the reason he does that is because he's without sin. Father can't look on sin without destroying it. So Father looks at Messiah instead of looking at me. And he said, and Messiah is representing me. He's the Son of Man. And he's representing me and he's representing you. So Father looks at his son who has no sin. And he can say, we complete because of the son. We complete in him. And Messiah sent messages to us from the Father. And when he sent messages from the Father, he's the son of Yah. Because his messages are coming from his Father. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which Yah gave unto him. When he's representing us to the Father, he's the Son of Man. When he sends a message to us from the Father, he's the Son of Yah. And so we are complete in him, without sin in him. Okay, let's continue. And ye are complete in him, which is the head of all principality and power, in whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands, in putting off the body of sins of the flesh by the circumcision of Messiah. So he's talking to Gentiles, and he's telling them the circumcision of the heart is what you have. You're complete in the Hebrew Messiah. Don't follow traditions of men, man-made philosophy. Verse 12, buried with him in baptism, wherein also ye are risen with him through the faith of the operation of Yah, who hath raised him from the dead, and you, being dead in your sins and the uncircumcision of your flesh, hath he quickened together with him, having forgiven you all your trespasses. Okay, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances. So what was he talking about? Man-made philosophies, right? Rudiments of men. Traditions of men, man-made ordinances. Let me ask you, would keeping Sunday holy be a man-made ordinance? Or did the Messiah ever say, keep Sunday holy? Would December 25th be a man-made ordinance? Or did Messiah say, that's my birthday, keep it holy with a fat Caucasian man and some reindeer? Did the scribes and Pharisees make up their own ordinances too? And the Sadducees? And we're reading here, he says, don't go with any man-made traditions. Beware, he says. Okay? And then he says he blotted out ordinances. He blotted out what? Man-made traditions, rudiments of men, philosophies, vain deceit, on the cross with it. Wait a minute. Let's take that deeper. So Messiah, we saw in the book of Hosea, as we're studying Hosea, paid the penalty for the whore that Israel became. Bought her with his own blood, didn't he? So Messiah bought Israel. That's what Hosea is showing us. So he bought Israel. That means he died for the nation of Israel. So who are these people? These were Israelite people teaching man-made philosophies to uncircumcised Gentiles that was coming to the truth. See the context. We're not finished. Wait. Blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us and contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to his cross, having spoiled principalities and power. He made a show of them openly, triumphing over them in it. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink, or in respect of an holy day, or the new moon or the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the bodies of Christ. Watch verse 18 though. But let no man beguile you of your reward in voluntary humility and worshiping of angels, intruding into those things which he had not seen, vainly puffed up with his fleshly mind, man-made. So he wasn't doing away with the commandments of Yah. He was saying traditions put on top of Yah's commandments. He was doing away with them. And how did he triumph over them? He was nailed to a tree and suffered death, and he rose from the dead. If he wasn't in harmony with Father Yah on a 100% basis, he would not be raised from the dead. The raising from the dead proves that all of those philosophies were worthless, because if you were condemned for breaking man-made philosophies, he would have been condemned because he didn't follow any man-made philosophy. Does that make sense? Let's continue. And not holding the head, from which all the body by joints and bands, having nourishment ministered and knit together, increasing with the increase of Yah. Wherefore, if ye be dead with Messiah from the rudiments of the world, that is the man-made philosophies, why, as though living in the world, are ye subject to ordinances, touch not, taste not, handle not, which are all to perish with the using, after the commandments and doctrines of men? So let me ask you this question. The eating of pork, is that a man-made doctrine of men? Did man tell us don't eat pork? Or did Yah command his chosen, don't eat pork? Because he said, after the commandments and doctrines of men. So let's look at it the other way then. So the eating of pork and saying that it's clean because all foods are clean, that would be the commandments and doctrines of men. That would be. Let me show you something. If this Bible is absolute truth, everything that man has touched is going to be destroyed. Because everything that man has touched is defiled. Not only that, we just read, Messiah destroyed all man-made traditions on the cross. So anything that was made by man. So let's ask some questions. Where did the Baptist church come from? Where did the Seventh-day Adventist church come from? Where did the Mormon church come from? Where did the 501c3 corporation come from? Does the Bible speak of any of these things? Does Yah ever say in his word, I want you to create these entities and be part of them as my chosen? If not, then they're man-made. And what's going to happen to man-made stuff? It's going to all be destroyed. Let's take it a step further. Let's go with Proverbs. Proverbs chapter, I want to say chapter 12. Yes, Proverbs chapter 12. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 19. Proverbs 12, verse 19. Now, if you're going to take a one-verse lesson, Proverbs is the book to do it because there's a whole bunch of one-verse lessons in Proverbs. You know, one-verse lessons a lot. Proverbs, thousands of them, right? So Proverbs chapter 12, verse 19. The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. So a father is truth. If his ways are truth, that means anything that is anathema to him is a lie. Does that make logical sense? Anything that is anathema or opposite of Father, who is truth and has his truth, is a lie. And it says, the lip of truth, that is the lip that is established by the principles, the commandments, the doctrines of Father Yah from this book, is forever. But that which is opposite of him is temporary. Wait a minute. Gospel of John. Gospel of John, chapter 8. Gospel of John, chapter 8. Gospel of John, chapter 8. If you're going to follow this book, right, you better follow it all the way. Because if you're not following it all the way, you might be lying to yourself. Most High ain't going to forgive you if you're lying to yourself. You're trying to deceive yourself. See, if followers of the Quran are faithful to the Quran and they don't know any better, and that's all they grew up with, and that's what they know, guess what? I believe y'all's going to bless them. Because that's what they knew. And they were faithful in that which they know. You know what they say? The Gentiles become a law unto themselves because they didn't know the righteousness of the Yah. Now, in these last days, I believe a lot of people from Islam are going to come to the truth we're talking right here because the Bible says it. Okay? Everywhere. But if people die in this thing and they don't know any better, how could they be judged? But the advantage to those of us that are in the Most High's only absolute truth is that he shows us in advance what's coming. He protects us. He guides us in the way we should go. He gives us dreams. He gives us visions. He gives us his spirit, and he shows us ahead of time. That's what makes the difference between him and everybody else on the planet. That doesn't mean everybody's lost. That just means the people that are his have an advantage, and he meant it that way. John chapter 8. John chapter 8. Verse 44. Messiah is talking to the scribes and Pharisees. Ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. So everything not of absolute truth is with this liar right here. The Bible also says he deceiveth the earth with his lies. Okay? He deceives the earth with his lies. Those of us in this truth, the advantage we have is that it is truth, that it's an absolute truth. Now, when somebody stand up or give you a program and say this philosophy and that philosophy, you could already know. Forget that. If it's not in this thing, if it's not principled in here, if it's not outlined straightly here. Again, I'm not talking to everybody now. If you're a Muslim and you want to believe in the Quran and you don't know any better, or there's a lot of Americans that are fed up with white Jesus and the American Christianity, and they want to go to Islam because they don't know any better, and most of them have never read the Bible, but they don't know any better, and they go to Islam. I can't, what am I going to say? What you going to say? Most High is righteous and he's fair. Okay? Or somebody that has a Buddha philosophy or a Hindu philosophy, what are we going to say? You're talking about thousands of years of these people following these things. What you going to say? But we who follow Yah have an advantage. We know trouble is getting ready to hit this earth. It's not going to continue as it is. We know that the United States of America is dominating the planet and that Rome is controlling them. We know these things because it's taught us in the word. We know that there's a chosen people, that they were in slavery, that the world spits on them and craps on them and puts them in all the worst positions, and they're going to rise up out of that. We know this. We know there's a spirit. We know Father has a spirit of righteousness. We know it because we've experienced it. There's a spirit world. We understand it. Looking through a glass darkly. See, I was listening to some brothers from the past, most of which have passed away, like Malcolm X, or like Khalid Muhammad, or like this man Neely Fuller Jr. You ever heard of Neely Fuller Jr. and other people like that? That, have looked at it, or Kwame Ture, who used to be, I forgot his other name, Stokely Carmichael. I listen to these men and I see, and what I see after reading through the Bible multiple times, what I'm seeing is like, I'm seeing them observe certain things that are happening on the planet. And I'm seeing them observe it, but it's almost like they can't quite see the whole thing because they're missing this book. Okay. Whereas we have an advantage. We can see it. We understand it. And they all have different ways because they don't know of trying to attack the problem. Malcolm X said, I'm going to take the United States to the UN and put them up on charges of human brutality, inhumanity toward their own citizens. They killed him, right? Fred Hampton said, I'm going to create the Black Panther Party. I'm going to be part of Black Panther Party for self-defense, and we're going to change this government. They killed him, right? Khalid Muhammad said, we're going to reestablish the Black Panther Party for self-defense, and we're going to fight, and we're going to kill. They killed. Okay. Neely Fuller Jr. said, the whole earth is controlled by white supremacy. And that's true. The whole earth is under its control, no matter where on the planet you go. And I seen that as Babylon. He didn't understand it. And he didn't even never say. He said he just observed that it was like that. And he observed that that black people are learning to kill each other, but none of them want to kill a white man. And he observed that our minds are being taken from us, that even being allowed to be men. He observed all that, but didn't have the solution really to get out of it. The Bible does. It shows us through the perfect righteousness of the Father, through the prophetic utterance, through all of us understanding who we really are. We can overcome. We can overcome because we're looking at this whole system and understanding is going to be destroyed. Understanding where it comes from. Understanding that the lip of truth is established forever, but a lying tongue is not for a moment. Brother, I was just talking today and saying this on the relationships channel, which is true. There's no race in the Bible. There's no such thing as race in the Bible. The Bible never differentiates somebody by race. When you want to see differentiations of people in the Bible, there's only two groups. Really. There's Israelites and then there's the other nations. That's it. He never differentiates by race. He didn't say Chinese and Japanese. Now, he does have different countries, obviously. But to him, they're the chosen people and everybody else. There's no race. There's only what God you worshiping. Are you worshiping the God of the chosen people, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Yah, of the ones that, the people, his people that went into slavery, you worshiping their God? If you're not, you got some other God. That's it. So why does race play a role? Because prophetically speaking, the children of Yafet dominate the earth, and race is just one section of their domination. They differentiated themselves by their skin being pale. And then they said they discovered everything, right? Indians was already in this land, but they discovered it. Indians was already in Boricua, but they discovered it. They discovered the pyramids that was there thousands of years. And why? Because it was prophetically uttered that they should dominate now. This is their time. But it's also prophetically uttered that their time is coming to an end. Right? So, and it makes sense. What kingdom in the planet Earth's history has ever lasted forever? Now, almost every kingdom wants to last forever, but none of them do. There's been empires that existed longer than the United States. They don't last forever. No empire lasts forever. And let me tell you something else. Man-made institution and religion, because of the principles we just said, is already self-contained for destruction. Most High was to leave man alone. Man would destroy himself from off the earth. He would have been killed himself. Just off of greed and pride and arrogance, he would have killed himself off the earth already. And every man-made institution is doomed to destruct, to self-destruct. Because every man-made institution is built from man, which is built on a lie. The lip of truth is established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Every man-made institution, I don't care what church it is, I don't care what building it is, I don't care what country it is all destined to come down. Self-destruct. And if truth is eternal and Yah is truth, he's destined to stay forever. He will never stop. He will never discontinue. So as we who are followers of this word, who understand who we are, and those that are not among us, but do understand who we are and want to graft it in among us, we understand what's happening. Yeah, they're going to do wars. Yeah, they're going to try to destroy each other. But you know what? The Most High said, thus far shalt thou go and no further. It's in his hands, the times of this earth, because he made it. He's going to end up destroying all this stuff and making it over. Because people done put their nasty hands on it, all of us being sinners, and messed it up. He's going to do it again. He's going to re-polish it up, refurbish it. The Bible says there's going to be a restitution of all things. That means restoration, restored to its original beauty. Everything. And that's why we have to be changed. Because in our current state, we cannot inherit. That's something that's going to last forever. Because we've been blighted by sin. That's why first what he does is give us a new spirit. That's called born again. He covers us with perfect righteousness that Adam had, that Messiah has, born again. Then in that, he gives us a new mind. He gives us the truth. He feeds us with the truth, those of us that want it. And then at the end, he gives us a new body. When Messiah returns to establish the kingdom, we'll be standing on the sea of glass with new bodies. Then he's going to come back and take the earth and destroy all of those against the truth and destroy everything that was touched by those against the truth and refurbish it, reinstitute it, restore it. That's what he's going to do. And we who are followers of this book, we know that this is going to happen in an autumn like this. We're in the autumn like this time. We know that Messiah is the high priest and that we know that he has set up jubilees. We have been taught this in the book. We know what to eat and what not to eat. He teaches us in the book. He teaches us all of these things so that we're not surprised at what's coming. That we know every institution, every bank institution, every political institution, every religious institution, they're all going to be destroyed. Every one of them. We know that the Father said that his Son is coming as King of Kings and Lord of Lords, which means it's a monarchy. You have a king. You see, the political systems of this earth, every one of them are doomed to fail. Some people say, well, capitalism is the way. No, it's going to be destroyed. It was made by man. Man's greedy. Man's power hungry. Man's off tilt. So it's going to be destroyed. What about socialism? It's fair. Not if it's run by men, it's not. Any human, communism, socialism, capitalism, they all gone. There's going to be a monarchy. And why does any system work? Why would a monarchy work? Because the king is perfect in righteousness. That's why. And all his subjects are after the order of perfect righteousness. That's why. There's no greed there in that kingdom. No greed. No lust for power. No me thinking I'm better than you and you thinking you better than me because of the color of our skin. There'll be none of that. Because it's a kingdom of righteousness, everything's going to be fair and righteous. Everyone is going to have love. There'll be no hatred. There'll be no disease. There'll be no need for money. There'll be no need for hospitals or jails. None of that will be necessary because it's a kingdom of righteousness. And he's going to be king of the earth, and he's going to have David, a righteous king, in Jerusalem. And nations are going to have kings. Notice Revelation chapter 21. Revelation chapter 21. Revelation 21. Going to read Revelation 21 from verse 24 down to verse 27. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. There's going to be all kinds of kingdoms with kings. But David's going to be king of Jerusalem, which is going to be the top dog on the earth. And then Messiah going to be king of the whole earth, king of kings. And that religious and political system is going to work because it's a system of righteousness. You will never have that on the earth until this is established. You will never have it. So I don't care what country it is. I don't care what religion it is, what government it is. It's doomed to fail. It's doomed to fail. Because it's not what Yah chose. He never gave nobody a name Seventh-day Adventist. He never gave nobody a name Jehovah Witness or Mormons. That's man-made stuff. He never said this is universal, my universal Catholic Church. He never said that. He only named one group of people, Israel. And he never changed them. The world brings you confusion. Yah brings you straight. So I'm saying, if you're going to follow this book, it's pretty plain and it's pretty, straightforward, and you can see what's going on. If you're not, you're not. Okay, that's fine. That's your business. But I'm talking to people that's following this book. I am an inherit of this book. I can't speak of anything else, because this is my book right here. Some brother wrote me this, said, you need to really look into Islam. And I said, because the book that I have read says there's no Arab prophet and there's no other chosen people, unless your book says that, why would I read it? Never got back to me. Why would I read it? I had a bunch of brothers from Bangladesh coming at me with but it says that they were bringing all these little principles out from the Quran. And I said, where does it say he spoke to your people from mountain and gave them the covenant? Can you please give me that? No, but we have the principles. I said, that's not what I'm asking. And they were ignoring what I was asking because they know they couldn't answer it. And one of them was getting upset. I said, well, don't need to get upset. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. And it's not. Otherwise, you always show it to me. Oh, but Moses is mentioned. That's like me getting to the door of the club and saying, yeah, I'm Michael Jordan. No, I know Michael Jordan. Let me in. Doesn't mean I'm a member. I could mention all kinds of names. I could name drop all day, right? That don't mean nothing. He only has one chosen people according to this book. He only has one. Anything that's not that's man-made will be destroyed. And it's not long. He showed us in his book. I'm telling you, let's see, is it 2021? Watch by 2032. So we're talking about 11 years from now. Not that much longer. It's going to be set off very shortly. It's going to be set off. Okay? If I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to say I was wrong. I'm fools, blah, blah, blah. But I'm telling you, this is what I'm seeing from the book. It's not that long. Not that long. And you're going to really start to see changes after 2027. You're going to really start to see changes after that. See, so it is what it is. There is, for us that follow this King James Bible, there is an absolute truth. It's this book. Why? To me, it's the prophetic utterance of this book, the things it prophesies about, from who the true Hebrews are, from what would happen to them, from why they would end up where they ended up, from what's going to happen, from what religions dominate the earth, what group of peoples are dominating the earth. It tells us Yafet is going to dwell in the tents of Shem. It tells us Yafet coming first from the Medes and the Persians, but the Medes, then the Greeks, then the Romans. All of that is Yafet. It says a little horn, a religious power would rise out of there. That's from Yafet. It tells us about the United States dominating the earth, children of Yafet. Tell us that. And even though I'm telling you this, those of us that read the book see it. Those of us that don't read it don't see it. Even if they call themselves Christians, they can't see it. Why? Because they have man-made philosophy. There's no white Jesus in here. There's no man in here with a little heart here that you got a cross around it and halo glow and holding his hand like this. There's not there. That's different. And that's why you're not going to see, because you done made stuff up. Instead of taking it for what it says, you done made stuff up. And you listen to some people, the Old Testament, New Testament, two different books. They say opposite things if you listen to some people. That's confusion. That would be a lie. If I spoke two different things out of both sides of my mouth, I'll be a liar, right? So by saying that the Old Testament says one thing and the New Testament says another thing, they are calling the Bible a liar. They just don't even realize what they're doing most of the time. Some do, but most don't. They say, we're New Testament Christians. The Old Testament done away with. Then that means the Bible must be a liar because it has two sets of philosophies within one volume. No, the Apostle Paul's writings are not inspired. Then the Bible must be a liar. It shouldn't be part of the Bible then. But it is. There's stuff the white man is hiding from us. Listen, let me address this real quick. Most of the time, when the powers are hiding things from us, they hide it in plain sight. And they brainwash this so that you could be looking at it and not know what you're looking at. For example, if you look closely at the so-called Star of David, it's the shape of a goat. In sports, they say the greatest one, the greatest player in that sport is called the GOAT, the greatest of all times. Why would they use GOAT so much? Because when you read Leviticus 16, all of our sins are placed on the goat. It's called the scapegoat, and it represents Asatan. So he's trying to tell us he's the GOAT, and we're calling him the greatest. Right in front of us. Okay? So that's how they do things. They do it right in front of your face, and you so brainwashed, we thinking about white Jesus and Christianity, we can't see it. But it's right in front of us. And that's why the Most High says, the word is nigh. It's in your mouth and in your heart that you might do it. It's right here. So if you read this whole thing, and most people that believe all of these philosophies have not read it. I mean, honestly, haven't read it. And so if you don't read it, they could put anything they want right in front of your face. They could kill people right in front of you. And you wouldn't even see it. You didn't just see that? They'll say, you didn't just see that. That's not what you just saw. You didn't see that. It could go against all logic, and you'll look at it and you'll start believing, oh, the media says I didn't really see that. So they must be right. I didn't really see what I just saw. I didn't really hear that. You understand? And the last president was doing it so blatantly. It was okay. People would believe in it. That's just, he would say stuff and then say, no, I didn't really say that. Let's show him the video. You said this. No, that's not really what I said. I'm taking out of context. And it's not just him. He's just an example. Okay, he's just an example. I had somebody the other day talk about CNN, talking about Fox News, always talking about, what was it? They were bringing up this one term all the time. And Fox News said they CNN said Fox News is brainwashing people. And I said, wait. I said, CNN always repeating things. They always talking about violence. And they talk about vaccination. You hear it all the time. Right? And then MSNBC, Trump, Russia. All the time. They all got an agenda and they tell on themselves if you listen to them. But if you're reading this book, you'll see it real clear. If you're not reading the book, you're not going to see it. They could do it right in front of you. Okay? And all con men appeal to what's already in us. They get us to trust them and appeal to them. Every con does that. And so the people that are afraid of the dissolution of white supremacy, they'll listen to lies all day as long as what's going on is continuing white supremacy. Okay? I mean, it's what it is. Okay? You get robbed when somebody appeals to your desire to get rich. That's how multi-level marketing companies always get over. They appeal to people's desire to get rich, and they get you to buy kits, and they get you out there selling stuff, and you just got taken. But it's because of your desire to get rich. I've been there. I did it. And that's the principle of the word. So, brethren, either you're going to follow the book or you're not. If you're going to follow it, follow the whole thing. Because everything that's not in here, according to it, is going down. Everything that was originated in the heart of man is going down. It's going to be destroyed. Somebody said, well, man has made really nice medicines. That's true. That's absolutely true. Let me ask you something. They have made some very powerful medicines that has helped people. But is it better to take medicines of man or to have your body completely made over so that it never gets sick ever again and it never gets old ever again? What's better? What's better? Because that's what we promised right here. Bodies that never get old, never get sick, never be weak, ever, for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. What's better? Live 80 years and get some medicine until it ruins your liver or something? What's better? Now, I'm not saying temporary relief is not cool. Medicine's good, but let's understand. Man's stuff is going down. Man's stuff is going down. You understand? I don't care what it is. I don't care what virus it is. I don't care what technology it is. It don't matter. If man has made it, it's not going to last. And that is why, listen to this now. That is why whatever they want to put in you as far as a poison, the Most High don't have to let it hurt you. That's why the Bible says it may not hurt you. If you don't want it to, it's not going to hurt you. Why? Because man makes the poison. Yah makes the body. Y'all have to understand that. The body belongs to Yahweh, especially when we freely surrender our minds and bodies to him. It belongs to him. So therefore, it's on him to uphold us. Now, if you don't know him, you don't trust in him, man might be able to poison you, to kill you, to do what they want with you. But when you don't have the fear, because you're trusting in your creator, that's a different thing. This body was not made with hands. It's not made. Hands didn't make this. Anything hands makes, it's going down. It's going down. It's going to be destroyed. Okay? And because this has been defiled with sin, he's going to do that over too. Absolute truth. If you're going to follow the word, follow it absolutely. Don't follow it halfway. Follow it all the way. Take all the promises. Take all the principles. Eat it all up and follow it. Elijah stood on Mount Carmel and he told the Israelites of the northern kingdom, how long halt ye with you two opinions? If Baal be God, serve him. If Yah be God, serve him. You know why he had to do that? Because they were mixing. They were trying to solve Yah and then serve Baal. They would worship the golden calves and read the Torah. He said, you can't do it both. You can't. Serve one. And that's what we're coming back to now. If this is the word of the Most High, read the whole thing. When you finish, read it again and follow it. Obey it. Believe it. If it's not, don't. That's all I'm saying. Because at the end, I'm so confident that Yah will overcome everything else, every other belief, everything else out there. He's going to overcome it. I'm so confident that I got everything on this book right here. Everything in my life is riding on it. That's it. I can't look back because I'm already down the road. Now, if all of a sudden, some bolt of lightning hit me out of nowhere and said, this is it over here. Okay, that's different. But that ain't happened to me. What has confirmed multiple times by spiritual things, by visions, by dreams, by angels, is this book right here. I'm not turning back. I had too much evidence. Personally, too much evidence. Okay, I can't turn back. And when you are convicted about something, don't argue with people. Don't do it. When you're convicted, the wife I met right here, she was living in Connecticut. She had left New York City, born and raised in New York, left to go to Connecticut. And people in Connecticut were like, man, you don't want to be in that city. It's dangerous, blah, 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 blah. And the Spirit told her to go back to New York. And all of her friends said, don't go back there. That's nasty city. You just escaped from there. Stay in Connecticut. She said, no, but I got to go back. And she went back. And she went to a certain church in New York. And then she was led to go to a different church. And all the friends in that church said, where you going? Stay here. This is the church. And she went to this other church. Meanwhile, I went to that church and I had heard, now I was in this church in Manhattan and I heard there was all these fine girls. Matter of fact, I seen them for myself in Brooklyn. So I told my friend, man, I'm getting ready to go down to Brooklyn. And this sister stopped me in my tracks, literally. Where you going? I said, I'm going to Brooklyn. I'm going to Brooklyn, sister. She said, no, you ain't. You staying here. I said, sister, come on. She was an older sister, so I had to respect the elderly. I was like respecting her. So I said, come on, sister, let me stay. She said, you are staying here today. And I met this one here because both of us were supposed to be there. We were both convicted. I was convicted. The sister was telling me what I need to do. I stayed there. She was convicted. She came all the way from Connecticut to meet me here. See, so when you're convicted about something, that's your conviction. It's sacred to me. It's sacred. Conviction is how the Spirit talks. One of the ways the Spirit talks to us. When you're convicted. When somebody says to me, brother, I'm convicted about this, I have nothing else to say to you. If you want to stop a conversation with me, just tell me you're convicted. I'm not going to try to talk to you about it no more. If you're right, you're going to end up being right. If you're wrong, you're going to end up being wrong. Because when you say you're convicted, I can't say nothing to you. That's your conviction. Right? Whether you're right or wrong. That's why I say make sure you eat of this word so you can know your conviction is, your conviction is confirmed. Your conviction is confirmed by the word. Okay. But once you got that conviction, what? No. I say, well, study the Quran. No, I'm convicted. This is the Bible. It tells me there's only one word. It's only one people. It's got one covenant. No. What about Buddha? No. Thou shalt have no other gods, no images. That's the image. No. What about Hinduism? No. The Vishnu is a woman. There's no woman god. There's no goddess. That's what this book tells me. No. I don't even need to look at it. No. See what I'm saying? I'm convicted. See? But I have to have understood, I have to taste and see that it's good for myself. I have to eat it for myself and know for myself I'm convicted. Now, there's a difference between being stubborn and being convicted. Being stubborn is you can see something is wrong, and because you're proud, you keep going. Being convicted is a spirit is touching you and telling you, and you are convicted that that's happening. And you're going to follow that. That's when you're going to find out whose voice you've been listening to. You've been listening to the Most High's voice. You're going to be convicted. And there's, you know what? In the second resurrection, there are going to be millions, billions of people raised up. And they're going to hear a voice of Asatan. And it's a voice they've been following their whole life. Isn't that sad? I want to follow the word. And I want to follow conviction of his spirit. Praise the Most High. So there is an absolute truth for those of us following the word. It is the word. Absolute truth. And we don't need to be confused about everything else. Praise the Most High. The word tells us. The word tells us. Okay? He said, if somebody said, go worship this other God, the word's telling you, don't worship no other God. Don't do that. If somebody said, let's go steal this thing, it's all right. Thou shalt not steal. Don't do that. See what I'm saying? Conviction. Praise the Most High. I pray the Most High guide you and direct you in absolute truth. And when he does, you move and walk and live on that conviction. And pray for me that I continue to seek the Most High's word and to live in the absolute truth of that conviction. Shalom.